I'm going to read to you a short excerpt from Joan's book, which is called Defying the Ghosts. It is a haunted house story and certainly a ghost story. It is also something of a hero's journey, something of a coming-of-age novel, and I was fortunate enough to read it before it was published and loved it. I'm going to read you an excerpt that is my favorite part of the book. It's not the best part of the book, but some of the best parts of the book have spoilers that I wouldn't want to share with you. But I also wanted you to see that you show up in this book in some way, and that I show up. So we're hearing about a young woman named Charlene, and Charlene has been kicked out of her home right at her 18th birthday. And she's now struggling to find her way. Nothing is working for her. She's found a number of people who have given her different kinds of advice, places she can go for food, for shelter, for support. And one of the things she's been told about is a church at 42nd and Maple. Around 4 p.m., Charlene walked to the church at 42nd and Maple. The grounds had so many trees that the church almost disappeared behind them. But she found it, and she went to what appeared to be the main door. There was a speaker at the door, similar to those at apartment buildings. She buzzed, bzzz, and got an immediate response. "If you're here for dinner, we don't open till 5:30, said a woman's voice. "Yes, but I wanted to ask if I could use the sewing machines." Another woman's voice said, "Come on in, go to your left and I'll meet you." She opened the door, stepped in, and heard the door snick shut behind her. A heavy-set woman in her 50s with a cheerful expression came around the corner. "I'm Reverend Sophia Papadopoulos," she said, extending a hand. "Call me Sophie." Charlene shook her hand. "I'm Charlene. I have a backpack, shirt, and pants that need mending, and I wondered if I could use your sewing machines." "Of course," she extended an arm. "Follow me." She walked to a room with 6 sewing machines of various makes and ages. Immediately, Charlene spotted a model that looked like one she'd used before, and she sat down in front of it. "Can I help?" Sophie asked. "I sewed professionally before I went into the ministry." "Sure," Charlene says. She opened the new backpack that Amy had bought and took out her old backpack, shirt, and pants. Sophie examined them. "You're right, they do need mending." "I think I can patch them. Some of the tears just need a close zigzag stitch." "Well, we have patches." She went to a basket of fabric scraps and started to match them up. "Since I used to sew backpacks, why don't I take that and you can take the shirt and pants?" "Oh," Charlene says, "and if you have a yard or 2 of extra fabric, I need a laundry bag too." She waved at a stack of fabric pieces. "Help yourself." The rumblings of the sewing machines as they worked prevented much conversation, but when threading or hand sewing, they were able to talk. "You do get attached to clothes and hate to part with them," Sophie observed. "In my case, I need as many clothes as I can have and save, and the mended clothes might be good for evenings or days off. My mom threw me out, and I'm sleeping on a couch in the back of the store where I work." "I'm glad to hear you have a job and a couch. Have you had any success in trying to find a rental?" "I went to a lot of places today. I'm 18, but with no credit or rental history, apartments wouldn't even consider me. I went to one house where an elderly woman had a room for rent, but her daughter said that I'd need to change her dressings and such, and I'm not a nurse." Sophie nodded. "You would have become her nurse effectively if you'd taken that offer." "Yeah, and other places were run down, or I had a bad gut feeling about them." One's instincts are usually pretty good about such things. One guy offered to sublet his apartment, and he wanted me to pay him for a non-refundable first month. But I said I wanted to look around the building first. And when I talked to a tenant in the laundry room, she told me the guy did that a lot. And the landlord would find out about it and throw the subletter out, and they wouldn't get their money back. "Well, that was smart of you to investigate before paying him." "Well, my late dad was a security consultant after he left the service." "Oh, I'm sorry about your dad." Charlene nodded. "So am I. We talked a lot about the experiences he had when he was younger and was taken advantage of, and he said he didn't want that to happen to me. After another few minutes of stitching, Charlene added, "I miss him." Sophie turned to her and said, "I don't doubt it." Charlene took a long breath. "So you know how my day went, one disaster after another. I know it doesn't help you to get a rental for me to say this, but you're not alone. I've heard dozens of stories like yours. It's so hard to get affordable housing. I only wish we could do more." Charlene smiled and gestured to the machine. "Well, this definitely helps, and I'm staying for dinner." The end. Wasn't that fun? Yeah, it's fun. Applause for the author, she's right there.